catch me on a beautiful sunny Saturday morning as I'm on my way to collect a Toyota Prius second generation. So we found this car on Auto Trader, and this car is actually being sold as spares and repair. And the reason it's being sold as spares and repair is because it has a red triangle of death. The red triangle of death, if you don't know about Toyota Priuses, is basically when a major fault is there, it comes on. So it could be that I'm investing in a dud or a complete lemon, or it could be that it could be a simple fix and it's going to be a lovely car for me to drive as a daily driver. Now, you already know that I have the Lexus and my truck as a daily driver, but the only problem with my diesel truck is because it's diesel, it's not allowed in some clean air zones, and also it's not ULEZ compliant with London. And as me and my wife, and I've got family in London and we travelled a fair amount to London, I decided that I need to invest in a ULEZ compliant and CAS compliant vehicle. What better than a Toyota Prius? Now, Generation 2 is obviously the Prius that we would recognize the most because they're sold in great numbers. And it's the one which has 1.5 litres, mated with a hybrid system, which is 76 horsepower plus the hybrid system making it 110, mated to a automatic CVT gearbox. So, and these cars are famous in taxis as well, we recognize that. So let's go and see if this is going to be either a good investment or a complete lemon. But either way, car hunting on a Saturday morning, can't get any better than that. So, you remember last time we left off where we were going to collect the Prius. Now we've bought the Prius, I bought it home, and I'm now driving it in my city, which is Kettering. The car actually drives really, really well. You can see the hybrid system and the way it works is quite smooth. So you never actually notice the engine kicking in. Everything is just done nice and smooth. I've done all the preliminary checks to see what the red triangle of death could be. So I looked at the water inverter and the coolant inverter, and that's working, and there's turbulence in the tank, so that shows that it's working. And then I looked at the 12-volt battery. There's an in-house system in the Prius that actually allows you to monitor your 12-volt battery, and the voltage is completely and utterly normal, like it should be on a good battery, so it's not that. Then I waited until the car got a bit warm so the hybrid battery fan would come on, and yes, the hybrid battery fan did come on. So that's not the problem. So now all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, it could be maybe the oil level is low, because sometimes these come on when the oil level is low. Looked in there, the oil is actually in very good nick. The car's hardly been driven clearly since the service been done, and the oil is up to the mark, so it's not low level oil. So it begs the question what it could be. Now I put my OBD 2.0 on there, and it came up with no codes. That just could be the fact that Toyota requires a special OBD reader to be able to read the code. So I'm going to take it to my local mechanic, Mike's Auto, and he's going to be able to do a diagnostic on it and see if he comes up with a code or anything like that. But preliminary checks suggest that the car actually has no issues, no faults. So what could be the reason with this red triangle of death? I mean, I drove it from Walsall, where I bought the vehicle, all the way back to Kettering, about an hour and a half driving, and it drove perfectly, even on the motorway, and it returned 58 to the gallon. The battery, hybrid battery, the hybrid battery I'll show you, is actually blue. So if the hybrid battery was messed up, it would be red. So, or maybe a few cells are maybe low and that's why it's come on. But the hybrid battery is actually working fairly well. So it's a mystery really. But we're going to solve this mystery because I think it's important for us to figure out what is wrong with this vehicle. So far though, it looks like we just snatched a bit of a bargain. So yeah, stay tuned and while we investigate what could be the red triangle of death. So as I said, I took it to Mike's Auto in Kettering, and Mike charged me £40 to do a diagnostic on it. this diagnostic tool is quite an impressive one and goes into a lot of detail. It came up with a few codes actually, a few engine codes and a hybrid battery code. So I then knew that the hybrid battery was the main culprit. So that's something that needs to be fixed. So recently, well, the car was driving perfect, even with the red triangle on. And maybe just recently, what it started doing is it drains the battery, and when it's on its last bar, the engine kicks up to obviously replenish the battery. But then what happens is the battery bar goes to full, as in green, and the engine switches off because it goes into hybrid mode. But as soon as it's doing that, we carry on driving in hybrid mode, and then it just shuts off completely. The speeder goes away, so the car needs to be put into park, then restarted. It's a weird one because it doesn't make sense in my head that it would do that immediately. So it could be that the hybrid battery is just given up, in which case I need to purchase a new hybrid battery or have it reconditioned. It could also be the fact that the actuator is gone, ABS actuator, and therefore the car doesn't regenerate its battery anymore. So the minor things I'm going to do first. So from the codes that have come up, the code should be on the screen right now. The first thing I think we should do is definitely the O2 sensor, and then after that we're going to do the ABS actuator, and then we'll see what the situation is. Right, so as I discussed earlier, this car acted really stupid where the battery was fluctuating between really full and empty. I had a chat with hybrid battery solutions in Northampton. If you're ever looking to get your battery refurbished, I would go to them. They're brilliant. He's a very nice guy, and he clearly has a lot of knowledge about this subject. He suggested to check the voltage on the battery. Now, when I was looking at the battery voltage from the Prius in-house thing, it was telling me the voltage is correct. But he said that even if the voltage goes down to 11.9 from 12 volts on the battery, on the auxiliary battery, it means that it needs changing. So I went ahead and I went to CT Car Parts in Kettering. They're brilliant. They as well have a lot of knowledge about cars. And they found me a 45 amp rather than a 35 amp. So instead of a 35 amp battery, I bought a 45 amp battery for more capacity. And then I changed the battery. So now even when I put load on it, it stays at 12 volts. It doesn't go down to 11.9. So even when I turn it on now, it stays at 14.4, same as the rear battery. So the fact was that the battery is still good. That battery is good, the one I replaced, but it's not 100%. This is 100% new battery, and the Prius seems to have accepted it. It's driving as it is. The battery, I can show you the battery, it's not fluctuating. In fact, we've been driving for 1.8 miles now, and I've been trying to imitate city traffic, so stop-start traffic, and forcing it to pretending to be in a traffic jam, really. I'm forcing it to stay between 10 and 12 to even 20 miles an hour. So the car would get hot just to see if it will misbehave again. But actually, this time it seems to have resolved the issue. We still have those red triangle and all of that nonsense, which I found the codes which I've already shared with you. But for the time being, the new auxiliary battery means that the Prius is back on the road, at least temporarily, and it seems like the hybrid battery is not fluctuating either. So that means that I don't know how it connects, but it does make a difference. So first things first, if you are having issues with your Gen 2, change the auxiliary 12 volt battery, even if it's 98% there and it has little deficiency, it's a good battery. The Prius still will bring up these codes and these issues. So now my next goal is to wait until I get a new OBD reader, which I've ordered, and I'll show you when it comes, and then we'll put that up, because that allows us to look through something called Dr. Prius. Dr. Prius is like this app basically that allows us to look at all the battery modules and to see if there are any that are failing, and is that the reason this has come through. So stay tuned. But yeah, new 12-volt battery. Hopefully it gets you back on the road, at least temporarily, until you get the major things sorted. Because at least in the UK, the demand for refurbished batteries is high, which means that if you are like unfortunate like me and you need a new hybrid battery, the wait is around 2 months. So you do need something that can take you to the shops and stuff like that. And at least for time being, my Prius is back on the road. Stay tuned. Let's see how we can get this car completely fixed and ready for those summer vacations that we're planning to go to Europe and stuff. A bit of an update on the Prius situation. So basically the battery fluctuates when the two or more battery cells fail. So if they fail, rather than being low, if they fail, then the battery starts to fluctuate because the hybrid battery doesn't understand the voltage that it's receiving. So what this means is that your car will then die, which my Prius did. So and if you park it up, then you start it up again, it won't, because the hybrid battery is not producing 201.6 volts to be able to start the car up. So then the car is virtually dead. So what I decided to do is to just replace the whole battery pack. Now, thankfully, East Hybrid are coming and installing one today. They've charged me 500 quid with installation of the battery, and it's not just replacing a few cells. I have opted in to replace the whole battery with a refurbished one, which they guarantee for 10k miles as well, which is great. So that gives me peace of mind basically to use the car. 10k miles is a good guarantee warrant of the battery as well. So you know that if something happens, they can sort that out. And the great thing about this is once that's in there, it should fix the issue. So the problem with changing just the cells is that if two cells have failed, because sometimes they work, sometimes they're really low, but sometimes they fail. So the car starts up and then they would fail and the car would freak out. So the problem is that sometimes it won't even start because of the fact that the two failed battery cells are not, sending the correct voltage out. So keeping that in mind, if I just change those cells, the rest of them might need replacing later on in the years as well. What the good thing about the refurbished one is it saves me the hassle of opening the battery up and everything. Not only that, but for £500 with installed and obviously guaranteeing it for 10,000 miles, it's really a good option. I think, especially because a car like this, you're going to utilize it for a long time. So total cost so far is £950 for buying the car after negotiation, and then a £500 installation of the new battery. Hopefully it fixes all my issues, in which case this car will cost me £1,450, which is a phenomenal price for a Gen 2 with less than 200k on it, because they're really sought after, especially in the UK. Now, because they return about 60 plus miles to the gallon, and they're quite comfortable. So measuring about market rate, this car goes for about 2.5k. So it would be a considerable buy and a really, really good purchase actually. So let's see what happens. So we have a technician here who's come down from East Hybrid in London, who are the people who are going to be fixing my Prius's hybrid battery. This is the battery, the donor battery that's come through. This has been reconditioned by yourselves, yes? And you can see East Hybrid Automotive. That's the name of the company. So if you guys are looking to replace your battery and are looking to get one done quickly, this person has just come in within 2 days of me talking to the person. So they've come the next day pretty much. And they have the donor battery here, and this is going to be replaced in my car, and hopefully we'll fix all the issues. So yeah, if you need this battery done, the company that I'm getting mine done from is East Hybrid Automotive. They offer a 6-month warranty or a 10k mile warranty as well with the product, so that gives you that extra peace of mind. So hopefully we can get this Prius up and running, and it'll be back on the road. So one thing I noticed was that the technician actually started to unravel the bolts near the seats because he needed to move it forward to get access to the rear of the hybrid battery pack. Now, This hybrid battery pack cost me £500 with installation, which I think is okay for how much I paid for the car. So you have to take that into consideration if you're taking on a project like this. Make sure that the car is bought for a good price, so that if you are making a hefty repair like this, that the overall price actually does come to something that would be reasonable and not extortionate. But this technician was very talented, and they pretty much got the job done in a couple of hours. The main thing to keep in mind is that this whole battery pack replacement offers you a peace of mind, and in this case, in my case, it comes with either a 6-month warranty or 10k mile warranty, and that gives me that extra bit of confidence in the car. As you can see, the donor battery is now in. Before we fasten it down, the technician is just testing the battery, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's no triangle of death anymore, just the brake light is on, so it looks like it might also have an ABS issue with the actuator, but at least the main red triangle is off now, and the car looks to be in useful condition. So we're just testing the battery now, and once all the tests are done, he'll fasten it down, and that'll be the end of the problems with this particular Prius. So as you can see, after I got the battery replaced on the Prius, it's working. The red triangle is gone, and the car, I took it out for a good drive. And I put even cruise control on, and you can see it's staying at 71 miles an hour, and the car is working perfectly. So the Prius did need a hybrid battery replacement. In this case, it's done the trick. You can see the two lights on as well, which is the engine light, and the brake fluid is low. That's where the brake lights come on. Once I sorted the O2 sensor out and put some more brake fluid in it, the car was A1. So if you do have a dead Prius or red triangle, most likely it's a hybrid battery.